We're live. Hooray. We're live. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It is my absolute honor to be here with you. It is my absolute honor to bring information to you, to share time and space with you, to commune with you. My name is Melinda Jacobs. I am a trauma-informed coach. And what does that mean? That means I help people move through and beyond whatever happened in the past, whether that was yesterday, last year, childhood, at birth, or beyond. I've worked with people all around the world and have seen incredible transformation as people recognize who they are, how they are as a result of what they've experienced, and have then moved to define who they want to be and have stepped closer to that. So, I am sharing with you some snippets of my course called Awakening Your Emotional Intelligence, Feel, Heal, and Transform. And why? Why this course? Why right now? Well, I look out in the world and I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine what our world would be like if we would just up level our own emotional awareness and intelligence. I see people hurting each other because they didn't know better. I see people not taking personal responsibility, not taking personal accountability, not having the words, not even knowing how to have the conversation. I see people unable to connect with their body temples. I see people who are unable to even identify a feeling, much less welcome it and transform that energy and help it move out of the body temple. I see people's bodies getting sick from chronic inflammation and chronic dis-ease. And I believe truly at the heart of all of that is this deep lack of understanding and awareness of our own emotional intelligence. So, why this course is because I want to do what I can to support a better life for myself, for others, for my country, for humanity. I am an intuitive, I'm an empath, and I see what's possible. I can see into other dimensions and other realms. And I know that we can do better if we have better tools, if we have a better understanding, if we have a better education. And I know for myself, one thing that was not taught when I was in grade school is this is what anger feels like, and this is how to be present to it, and this is how to breathe with it, and this is how the body then transmutes that energy and releases it so it doesn't continue to show up in your relationships and at the job site for the rest of your life. Nobody ever taught me that. So, this work, this course, this information is inspired, and that means it was channeled. Yes, I did some reading. Yes, I did a little research. Yes, yes, yes. And I have for my whole life been so tuned in, tapped in, and have had guidance just kind of with me through life. And it's been an amazing life having that wisdom available to me. And it's a deep belief that we are tapped into a higher wisdom, that there is a collective body of information that is available, accessible to everybody at all times, and you don't have to open a book to access it. How wonderful is that? And so that's my teacher. That's where this information comes from. It comes from beyond just our human experience, and it comes from a place in the sacred. Call it God, call it the universe, call it George or Bob. I don't care what we call it, but that's where this is coming from. So, to be clear, I am not trained, nor do I represent any organization that certifies people in emotional intelligence. That I am not representing them. And I am sharing with you my own journey, my own understanding, and something that's coming from a higher authority, a higher resource. And absolutely, I'm going to, through our time together, give you tools, give you some powerful questions to ask yourself, and give you ways to start integrating this work so you can uplevel your own, awaken your own emotional intelligence. And the tagline, the subtitle of this course is Feel, Heal, Transform. There's the map. There it is, right there. We have to learn how to feel in a way that's productive. We often feel in a way that's very counterproductive. And then we get to heal it. And I will be offering tools and suggestions of how to do that. And as a result, the natural byproduct is we transform, we become a different person. So why this course? Because it's time, because we need to up level, because we will continue in this repeating history as it is, because here we are repeating it again until we do it differently, until we have a new awareness. So let's grow, let's shift together, shall we? I want to share some resources with you. This is, again, I just want to be very clear. I channel most of my information and then I'll read it in a book and I'm like, oh yeah, I was seeing that. I saw that. I was shown that. So please know that I have not read these cover to cover. Brene Brown, The Gift of Imperfection, is a wonderful, amazing book. I love her writing and her ability to help us see our humanity is so incredible, and just developing that power of authenticity, really, really great. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, how to be present in the present moment. Very powerful information. Bessel van der Kolk, The Body Keeps the Score. Very, very good information about brain, mind, and body and the healing of trauma and how it impacts us, how it impacts our nervous system, how our brain gets hardwired after experiencing difficult, challenging experiences. Another Brene Brown, she's really one of my faves, Rising Strong, how the ability to reset transforms the way we live, love, parent, and lead. Again, it's really about opening and awakening our awareness and recognizing we can do it differently. That's what this course is for. And this one, oh, my dear friend, Dan Goleman, I don't know him personally, but I feel like I do. Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Intellectual quotient. So I want to just give a little caveat about this book by Dan Goleman, Emotional Intelligence. This is really written from a pretty academic space, which I do enjoy reading. Academia, I really do. There's a lot of wisdom to be had there. I wish that his stories had a little trigger warning because they're graphic and they're violent and they're intense. So there's your trigger warning. But there is amazing, amazing information in his stories, and talks about emotional hijacking and all these things I'm going to talk about later on. So I'm doing this course, this snippet, this little look-see into this course that I've created as a love offering. This is my gift to you. And if you feel moved and you would like to share back and honor the time, energy that it took to put this together, I'm so grateful to receive love offerings. PayPal me, Melinda at MV Jacobs. I'm also really grateful. Another way that you can pay me is to pay this forward. Share this video. I'm going to be doing this every week, every Monday, 10 a.m. So please share this video with someone else who you know could benefit from up-leveling their own emotional intelligence, their own self-awareness. That would be such a gift for me. Follow me on social media. Please do that. Sign up for my newsletter at my website, mvjacobs.com. And if you need support as we journey through this together, I am here for you, boo. I got you. I am in your corner. So you can reach out to me and you can set up an appointment or a complimentary consult there as well. So let's dive in a little bit about this course. I want to share a quote with you from Carl Jung. To love someone else is easy, but to love what you are, the thing that is yourself, just as if you were embracing a glowing red hot iron, it burns into you. And that is very painful. Therefore, to love somebody else in the first place is always an escape, which we all hope for. And we all enjoy it when we are capable of it. But in the long run, it comes back on us. You cannot stay away from yourself forever. You have to return, have to come to that experiment to know whether you can really love. That is the question, whether you can love yourself. And that will be the test. I feel like that's such a powerful quote because I think it really just sums up a whole lifetime of seeking love through other people, through relationships, in our animals, in our jobs, always going to the outside. And at some point it leaves us feeling a little void, a little empty, and a little, I don't know, lackluster. And so we continue to seek. But what Carl Jung is really pointing to is, beloved, you got to come back here. You got to come back here and learn to embrace the all of you, which means the parts that are messy, which means the parts of you that are maybe acting in particular ways that are unpleasant at times. And maybe those parts are acting as best they can with the tools they have, right? We didn't learn better tools. So we're going to do what we have with what we have until we get something different. I use the analogy of a high heel. When I got my first apartment, I moved in, I was trying to hang pictures, but I didn't have a hammer. I had a high heel. And so my high heel became my hammer, and I'm, nailing in pounding in nails into the walls with a high heel. Left a lot of dings in the wall, but it did get the nail in. I believe that from a very young age, we are seeking ways to soothe and comfort ourselves, but we just weren't given the right tool. And so we do the best we can with what we have until someone takes Melinda down to Home Depot and says, here's a whole plethora of hammers, small and big, and mallets and rubber mallets, so you don't mark your floors when you're installing them. So this course is about coming back to ourselves. As Carl Jung says, it's about learning to acknowledge those places within us that are feeling void. It's about up-leveling our skill sets and our tools so that we can better be with ourselves in ways that allow us to be better people in the world. I can't think of anything better to do on the planet right now. I'm going to give you just a couple more quotes because these are just powerful. And I think the quotes themselves hold the consciousness and hold the wisdom that just allows this alchemy, this transformation to shift. Because when we step out of the story and out of the complaining, oh, they did this and they did that, and I never got this, and how come they get that, and this is awful, and oh, ain't it all a tragedy? That's just us in the story complaining. It doesn't really allow us to step out of that and have a new thought. And so when I bring these quotes in, it's really designed like dropping food coloring into water, and that food coloring swirls around and it eventually changes. These quotes are being dropped into our consciousness, and they're swirling around because they hold information. We don't just learn through our conscious mind, thank God. We do not. We learn by being enveloped by, exposed to, in the energy of new ideas, new thoughts, new information. And like an alchemy, it shifts and changes us. So that's the point and the purpose of sharing these quotes with you. So the next quote is by Lao Tzu. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. That's all it takes, beloved. Just one step. And you listening to this, you acknowledging that maybe you could do it a little better, maybe you could do it a little different, that's a big step. And I believe in baby steps. We're going to talk later today about where you are now and where you want to be relative to your emotional awareness and intelligence. But we're not going to go from completely like a 0 to 100. We're just not going to take that in one step. It's the small little baby steps along the way that get us through the journey. A journey of 1,000 miles. One step. And here you are. You took it. Good for you. And then Elizabeth Gilbert says, your emotions are the slaves of your thoughts. Think about that. Your thoughts cause your emotions. Our thought creates a cascade of chemicals, and those chemicals are then transcribed into a feeling that we call our emotions. And then we have a feeling, we have an emotion, and then we have another thought based on that feeling. There is a thinking, feeling, thinking loop that is happening biochemically in our brain, in our nervous system. So I want you to hear that again. Your emotions are the slaves to your thoughts. There is the key to our freedom. We have to think differently, right? She goes on to say, and you are the slave to your emotions. But here's the great news. You're also the master of your thoughts. Freedom, freedom. And again, it comes back to awareness. We have to be aware, well, what am I thinking? Because oftentimes I find people are more aware of what they're feeling first. They don't realize that there is a thought happening before that feeling. And that's a powerful step to take on this 1,000-mile journey, right? Is to have a question. What am I, I'm having all this feeling. Okay, so what's the thought behind it? What am I thinking? And that's the power of this work, is truly to become more aware of what we're thinking, because what we think informs what we feel, and what we feel then informs what we think. And we are the master of what we think, and we are the slave to our feelings. Powerful, powerful stuff. So these are just going to be snippets. I am not sharing the whole totality of my course here, but it's going to be rich. It's going to be very juicy. It's going to give you lots to chew on. So I want to ask you, where do you want to be? How do you want to be in the world? When you think about how life has been for you, in your relationships, in your career, you as a sibling, you as a parent, you as a friend, you as a coworker, if you were to really stand back, letting go of the judgment now, let go of the criticism, but if you were to step back and assess, was that loving? Was that a kind interaction? Was I feeling threatened, or was I taking that personally in some way? Was there a way I could have better communicated that? Could I have maybe paused and thought about my response? How do you want to be? And whether it's around your own emotional intelligence or, where you want to be in relationship, where you want to be in your career, it's very powerful to stop and get a clear vision of who and how do I want to be in my future. How's that going? Taking time to pause and breathe and connect and to be intentional about what you're creating for yourself and for your life. And so, this question is, who and how do you want to be in the world? Gives us that reflection to get clear. And then the next question is how have you been emotionally? Can you step back and really assess without judgment who and how you have been up till this point with the tools and skills that you've had, that you were taught? So I have a list and I love this. I love this practice because to me, getting clear about where I'm heading means I'm pointing myself in a particular direction and I am clear about that becoming self, that future self. This is my future self. This is who and how I want to be. And at the same time, I need some rumble strips on the side of the road, those divots that they intentionally put on the road that inform you that you're drifting off to the side of the road, that you're drifting into another lane. There's a reason they put rumble strips in the road, is to help us stay awake, to help us stay on target, to stay on the path. So let's talk about what those rumble strips might be when it comes to emotional intelligence, shall we? So here's someone who is not demonstrating emotional intelligence. And next week we're going to talk about what it is. We're going to dive into that. But right now I want you to more think about setting some goals for yourself. And this list will give you lots of direction, I promise. These are traits of someone who has not learned or been taught skills of emotional intelligence. Sounds, looks, feels something like this. Reacts impulsively or explosively to stress or triggers. Blames others instead of taking personal responsibility. That is being demonstrated on a large scale right now. That's the one that's driving me a little bonkerdoodles. Avoids or suppresses emotions, pretending everything is fine. Struggles to name or identify what they're feeling. Takes things personally, often feeling attacked or misunderstood. Gossips or complains frequently. Interrupts or talks over others without listening deeply. Feels overwhelmed by emotions and shuts down. Needs to be right or control situations. Withdraws or ghosts in conflict instead of engaging. Holds grudges and struggles to forgive. Seeks validation or approval from others. Becomes defensive when receiving feedback. Criticizes or judges themselves or others harshly. Has difficulty setting or respecting boundaries. Feels like a victim of circumstances. Resists change or fears growth. Uses substances, food, or distractions to numb feelings. Avoids authentic conversations and repeats old patterns without reflecting on their root. Now, this is a small list. And I, for one, can just go down the list for myself. Check, 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 check. Now, I want you to take a deep breath. And let's give ourselves grace because we weren't taught. These are skill sets, folks. We can learn these things, but if we're not taught, if we're not given context, if we're not given tools, if we're not given a space to be lovingly encouraged to practice and at times fall flat on our faces, we're never going to learn these things. And so each and every one of these, I want you to imagine, those sliding knobs on mixer boards where they slide it up, slide the volume up, or they slide the volume down, they up the bass, they lower the treble, just knobs. And maybe yours is a sliding one, maybe it's a dial. But I want you to imagine each one of these things on a scale of 1 to 10. And some of these might be louder, more prevalent, more of an unconscious go-to, a stronger habit for you. Some of these things you might have already addressed and have awareness of, and you've actually dialed them down. And so you could just go through this list, listen to this recording again, go through this list and rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. How present is that now? And I also want you to just reflect on how present was it 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. When I go through this list, I have such deep compassion for how many of these were 8s, 9s, and 10s for me not so long ago. Teaching this course has up-leveled my emotional intelligence exponentially. Reading some of these authors like Daniel Goldman, Eckhart Tolle, and Brene Brown has really softened a lot of this for me. And it's just from the willingness to want to shift it and do better and be better and give myself grace. So I invite yourself to give yourself grace. So those are our rumble strips. That's what's on the side of the road as we move forward and aim our life, our habits, our awareness to something that's a little more emotionally aware. So here's the list of the traits that you can begin to put your sights on, to practice until we meet again. Think about these and how you might incorporate just one. Don't take on the whole list. That's too much. Baby steps, remember? Small little changes. So here's some traits of someone who has dialed down those old habits and has up-leveled and awakened their own emotional intelligence. They pause and respond consciously rather than react. They take ownership of their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They welcome all emotions as valid messengers. Oh, I love that one. They name and process feelings with awareness and compassion. There's that relationship that Carl Jung was talking about. We're coming back to ourselves, loving on ourselves. Hold space for others without absorbing their emotions. Hello, empaths. I see you out there. They set and honor clear boundaries. They set those boundaries for themselves. They honor others' boundaries as well. They practice self-inquiry and reflection. I'm going to add without judgment. They seek understanding instead of needing to be right. They remain present and grounded in conflict. I just want to invite you to just notice if your body's tensing or tightening. I just felt my heart tighten a little bit on that last one. I'm like, oh, okay. That one's one where that I get to practice because my body's telling me, ooh, that feels scary for some reason. Okay. Receive feedback as an opportunity to grow. They offer forgiveness to themselves and others with ease. They navigate challenges with curiosity instead of fear. They choose compassion over judgment. They ask for what they need clearly and calmly. They communicate honestly while honoring others' truth. They regulate their nervous system through embodied tools. I'm going to teach you some of those tools. They validate their own emotions without external approval. They make aligned decisions even when uncomfortable. They stay open and adaptable in uncertainty. They recognize their triggers as opportunities to heal. Powerful, powerful things to keep your sights on as far as who do I want to be? How do I want to be in this world? How do I want to show up in this particular family dynamic? How do I want to show up with this particular person that just challenges me to the core? I invite you to come back to this. Listen again, repeat it again. Get these written down so that you have them in front of you. Because the more we keep the good behaviors, I don't like that word good, the emotionally aware and emotionally intelligent behaviors and traits, the more we keep those in our sights, the more we can align to them. So my invitation for you, beloved, is to be gentle, to take 1, 2, maybe 3 of the rumble strips and just watch them play themselves out. Don't try to change them, not yet. I've got lots of information of how to be in the realm of change. And then pick one of these healthier traits to practice this week. Take it into your job, take it into your relationships, take it into your relationship with yourself and your body, and practice it and observe and get curious with yourself. Yeah. It's my absolute honor to be with you on this journey. And I am here for you to answer questions. You can email me. Here's my information. Again, this is my gift. If this is valuable to you, you can share the love through a love offering to me at PayPal. You can share the love by sharing this with others. This is what I believe we need more than anything right now. We need to learn to calm our nervous system. We need to get a clear sight of who we want to be with some direction and some better skills and tools. So thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up. I'm so honored that you're here. I'm so honored to share this information. I am so honored to be the mouthpiece for this consciousness that is so ready for us to embrace it. And we just need to be willing to say, yeah, I learned a bad habit. I'm ready to learn a better habit. Many, many blessings to you, beloveds. I'll see you next time. Please reach out. If you have questions, you can reach me. Take care. I'll see you soon.